Hi everyone, and welcome to the All Things ITSM Global Podcast, coming to you from Knowledge 16 in Las Vegas. I'm Kirsty McGowan. I'm here with Carlos Casanova.
Hi, Kirsty.
Charlie Betts.
Kirsty.
And it's our pleasure to be chatting with Terence Chesire from ServiceNow. Welcome.
Glad to be here. Very excited.
Welcome, Terence.
Yeah. So, Terence, if you could start by telling us a little bit about your current role and so this exciting initiative that you're helping launch at ServiceNow.
Definitely. So my title is Director of Product Management for Customer Service Management, which is, what is that? It is a brand new product which we are launching here. We're very excited to bring this news out to the world. And we are applying service management to the customer service domain, the customer service line of business. And that's my role, is defining the product and defining the features and obviously bringing it to the market.
This is a very interesting domain, and I'm going to take a crack at explaining it a little bit for the ITIL audience. So certainly the service desk obviously has a customer focus. However, enterprises have customer service functions that go well beyond IT.
Exactly.
And so you're bringing that lineage, which is actually a much larger scale, broader lineage and domain of expertise now, to ServiceNow. Very exciting.
Exactly, and so I'm a long-term CRM person in terms of background, and so I find myself having to make sure I clarify these are external customers, the ones who drive revenue to your organization, but who end up having frequently very similar interactions with your support organization like your internal customers have with your service desk.
Especially in the face of digital transformation.
Exactly.
It all comes together.
Exactly. So a lot of parallels there, exactly.
Yeah.
So how does that play out when you have, especially your clients have all these, they have their clients and they're using your stuff. It just seems like there's so many more layers now that you have to keep together and understand the relationships and the upstream and downstream impacts. That's obviously a very large challenge that you're taking on. Certainly,
and to be honest, that's the main thing that I've been working on, and the team here working on customer service management has been working on, which is extending the data model to be able to map and model those customer relationships, which I agree with you can be fairly complex. You've got companies that organize themselves in terms of global hierarchies and legal entities. There's partners who serve them. There's partners who either resell or serve and so on, and a lot of that was tricky. But the core of it is still, there's a requester who has a need, you have a frontline person who has to capture that need and then turn around and resolve it, either themselves or find out the most appropriate person in the organization to route it to. And that's where we found the maturity of ITIL being actually much better at applying it to customer service than current service processes.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting, and it's aligned with one of the themes that we've identified today, and I've been seeing in the last year or so, that actually, as much as we like to joke about IT has solved some remarkably complex problems. And so in some ways, when we hear about that everything is going to become digital, it's not a matter of that IT is going to go away. In fact, certain IT piloted and IT pioneered practices start to move into business-facing domains.
Exactly, and so let's start at the high level and then go into the digital, because I think that's even an advanced topic, right? So even at the basic level, and I find myself repeating this conversation with folks who cannot believe it, customer support has the same approach of, traditional customer support has the same approach of looking at cases as, how quickly can I just close this, right?
Yeah.
Which is, you probably faced this, how quickly can I close this incident and just move away from it?
Right.
And the power that I found in the ITIL approach is in asking, why did this case come in the first place, or incident? And to apply this much more mature concept of root cause analysis and thinking through how do you preempt or prevent subsequent cases from coming in. And then doing something much more disciplined and deliberate around what changes do I make to preempt this, and measuring it so I don't cause even more problems in the future. Right? And by doing, I know this is old hack for you guys, but this is revolutionary in customer service, right? We were still just, how quickly can I close that case? I'm just sitting there, and I declared victory on, how average handle time, right? How quickly I got to closed was my basis for success. And what we're hearing from customers now is, external customers is outcome is much more.
There's the key word.
Yeah.
Exactly. Outcome is much more meaningful than, you tell me that you closed it, but I still don't feel satisfied.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and
Right.
really, ultimately, your goal should be to get less and less calls in because you're getting rid of that root cause. So,
Yeah.
being judged on the number of calls you can close and how quickly you can close them is a counterproductive metric to be measuring.
Exactly, and so that's the interesting conversation we're having with customer service leaders is exactly that's the wrong metric, because if you apply these processes appropriately, you should start to see call volumes and call levels go down,
Yes.
but you should also see correspondingly customer satisfaction
Go up.
go up.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
and one of the things that we've talked about is that it can be also counterintuitive in terms of your tier 1, tier 2, especially as we see more automated and self-service options. You may start to see more time being spent on more complex incidents.
That's right.
Correct.
And that's not a bad thing.
Right.
Some of this actually ties into, there's a famous lean thinker, actually, I think he doesn't like the word lean, but he's lumped in with the community, named John Seddon. And he talks about the problem of failure demand, that so much of the demand we see on this customer service function is generated by the failure to meet the original customer needs and
Exactly.
satisfy what the customer's desired outcome was when they first made that contact.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So let me go to a quick thought that you started with, which is on the self-service. So here's yet another concept that is novel to us, but old hack to you, which is, most customer service organizations can proudly stand up and say they have a self-service portal, but all they've really done is outsource the typing in or the keying in of what the issue is.
Right.
Yep.
Right? And so another concept that we are gladly stealing or borrowing, whatever you guys
Yeah.
will allow the word, is the service catalog. So having the customer service organization start to define what are those services that they are offering to the external customers. And even much more simply, even if it's not an explicit service, just define what those recurring tasks or recurring work is and automating it.
Yep.
And suddenly you deflect to your point exactly.
Yep.
It's a win-win because the customer is empowered and does it exactly themselves and sees the instant result. And the only things that you're having your really high value agents working on are the true problems, which require the root cause
Yes.
analysis to resolve.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and-
yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, that's one thing that we've talked about quite a bit is if you can empower that, right? You can empower and you kind of push up the stack. So the simple stuff that you had to interact with someone on, now they can get it done on their own. So that means that alleviates time and resource capability there, which maybe if we can educate those, they can take the tier 2 piece up. It's a lot cheaper to have it at tier 1 than tier 2. The subject matter expert, maybe we can pass some of that stuff up when we're not doing this escalation all the time.
Yes.
Not only is it saving the corporation quite a bit of money, but customers are happier
Yes.
because they didn't have to interact with anybody.
So I joke about this. I grew up in Oregon, and the claim to fame is Oregon is one of only 2 states in the nation that does not let you pump its gas. And you would not believe how rewarding it is to let your customers pump their gas and reduce your costs. But it's exactly that, right?
Yep.
Everyone is truly much more happier at getting empowered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've playing into that, we've had several discussions with other folks. There's also a generational issue now.
Yes.
That we talk about that on paper. That sounds great anyway, but because of some of the generation, the millennial side of it, they're saying, no, that's exactly what I want. So it's not even a corporate thing. Let's do it to save money. It's like, no, this audience, this is the desired audience or desired results and approach that audience even wants. So if you don't do it, there's so many other pieces that really challenge that.
So there's one more piece I'm going to raise, and I'm very self-aware as I'm raising it with you specifically, which is the concept of CMDB as applied to customer service. Right? So be gentle. But in customer service, we have this concept of install base. And install base is at the point of sale, we take a snapshot of that and we stick it in the database and we say, at this date, you bought that.
Right.
And it's very static. We know life moves on, and you probably modify it in a lot of ways.
Yep.
And we think of that mirroring very much the configuration item concept. Right? And so starting to look at the install base as tracking the changes that either your organization made or the customer made, so at the point when they call in, you truly have the full context of that product that they purchased
Right.
and the changes you've made, that's the next big area that we're looking at is
Right.
introducing CMDB as a much more powerful way of tracking what you've sold
Right.
to help make this all better.
Yeah, I mean, and not to drag that too far into the weeds, but there's the patterns and trends that you're going to pick up on that, which then we can start introducing the big data component to that.
Exactly.
That you can say, okay, well, Terence is exhibiting a certain pattern and trend. We've experienced that with Charlie last year. Maybe his organization and his employees were a little bit, or customers were a little bit more mature, a little bit ahead of the game. We know where Terence is going. We already know that. So there's a pattern that will show itself if you do the analytics again. So you can start becoming much more proactive, which is one of our big things.
I love that word.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a huge part of what
Yeah.
we're trying to introduce is the net result of all of this is two key outcomes. One is you start being proactive, whether it's both identifying an issue and saying all these other customers who have a similar configuration probably will encounter this, and you actually reach out to them and say,
Yep.
before
We
you
know.
encounter this
Yes.
problem,
Yeah.
I'm going to proactively reach out and resolve it. And the second thing is the net result of performing all these root cause changes is you end up with a better product overall.
Yeah.
So we're very excited
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, I
it's-
certainly like that idea of being able to anticipate your customers' needs by examining what the information that you're keeping.
And you know
about
the
them.
worst part about this? IT actually looks like it knows what it's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
It actually looks like it recognizes when they're reaching out proactively.
Yeah.
You start changing your perception of what IT is, because they're reaching out to you and saying, hey, we know you're going to be encountering this based on what we've learned from other
Yeah.
folks that have traveled that path. And I don't know if we want to do that. I don't know if we want to really show that IT can actually understand what's going on.
Hey, we're copying off IT.
Yeah.
IT is definitely leading in this.
Yeah.
I'm proud to say we're borrowing and stealing from it. But
Well, it's
very happy.
leveraging to enable customer satisfaction. How about that?
Exactly.
Perfect.
Good.
Well, thanks, Terence. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and I certainly look forward to seeing how this progresses and perhaps getting you back and having a chat in a few months' time and finding out what happened.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We're very excited
Yeah.
about this. Of course, I got to take the opportunity to tell everyone, please
Yeah.
try to learn more about ServiceNow customer service management.
Yeah.
I'm personally very proud of it. And give us feedback around whether
Yeah.
you think this service management approach is viable for customer service.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Terence.
Thanks.